they had a script. The script was either to get their hands on Mr. Sowore or get their hands on Marshal Abubakar, which was exactly what they wanted to do. Since it is a Friday, the idea was just to see how they can further dehumanize us or demoralize us. But we've shown that we never give our humanity to these people. These are persons who have at one time or another felt they can use the instrument of state to oppress us and demean us and fight us for asking them to do the right thing. So we know they're going to go that way. So I wasn't disturbed when I saw them swap on me. I was ready for them. Told them there is no price that's too big for me to pay for the advancement of rule of law. My name is Marshal Abubakar. I'm a legal practitioner and a human rights activist. I practice law in the city of Abuja, Nigeria. I think it was on the 24th day of February, thereabout. We were at the Court of Appeal in Abuja in the case of Sowore and others against AAC and others. When shortly after the court proceedings, I left from the Court of Appeal to the Federal High Court to attend to other cases that were also in court on that day. And then shortly after, we received a call that the notorious SARS had swept on Comrade Sowore at the Court of Appeal premises and effected his arrest. Knowing fully well who the notorious SARS people are, we rushed down. But luckily, Inibihe Efyang, another human rights comrade and brother, was also in town on that day. He surely was the one that was doing the AAC case. So together we rushed down to the SARS, the notorious Guzape SARS premises to find out what was actually happening. Expectedly, when we got to the gates of the SARS premises, we encountered them in their usual characteristics. They were violent, they were aggressive, they were abusive, they were ready for a fight. We told them we're gentlemen of the bar, we're lawyers, and we're not getting to fighting. And we're also there to carry out legal functions, legal representations for our client, Sowore, who was being arrested and detained at their abattoir premises. After so much ado, they would not allow us in, so we had to make calls, and eventually they allowed us in. I was able to see Mr. Sowore, and we were there informed that there was a petition against him by one Nwoko, who had done a petition against him over some defamatory publications that Sarah reporters had made. And we told them there and then, firstly, Sarah reporters is not the same person as Sowore. In short, there are two different entities. Irrespective of the role that Sowore plays or occupies with the establishment called people know as Sarah reporters, Sowore is different from Sarah reporters, and that journalistic work is not a crime in Nigeria. And you cannot even arrest me in the first place for carrying out my journalistic work. And that if it is a matter of defamation, then why wouldn't Ned, who is a lawyer, presumably a lawyer, trained in the UK, presumably, like we hear, not approach the court of law to sue for the thought of defamation? And we told them there and then that journalism is not a crime, and if Ned Nwoko really has a case against Mr. Sowore or Sarah reporters, whichever one, he should be bold enough to approach the court for legal redress. That's, you're accusing somebody of defaming you, or a media house of defaming you. Why go for, it's like saying TVC defamed you, and you're not going for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He doesn't correlate. So is it because Sowore is regular? We advised them, and we had the understanding that Ned Nwoko will be advised appropriately. Unfortunately, before we left, they didn't really want to release Mr. Sowore on that day, but we had an understanding towards very late in the evening, and they said no problems, we're going to release him. And then that I was just asked to leave a copy of my passport and to also sign that I know him, and of course I readily obliged that, and that was how it transpired. But Mr. Sowore made it very clear that he has committed no crime and that he is not he has committed no crime, and if they feel he has committed a crime, they should feel free to approach the court for legal redress. And that was it. We left that day. There was no call, there was no communication until. But I know them who they are. We've been in running battles with these men of the underworld. This also brings us back to the issue of what the police has been reduced into. The police is now a mere puppet, a mere tool in the hand of some powerful individuals in Nigeria who just approaches them and have them do their biddings at their pet and call, and it's very disturbing. No call was placed on Sowore, to the much of my understanding, not even to me. There was even no date for return until after some time they swapped on my address and asked on a Friday, which is what they do normally if they have a problem with you. They swapped on my premises on a Friday and asked me to produce a Sowore without prior notice. And this also brings me further to further questions. You know, I told the area court judge, like we know it, area court judge are Sharia courts. Sharia court under Nigerian law is what is called Islamic personal law. Islamic law is a personal law to persons who subscribe to the ideals. It's a form of customary law for persons who subscribe to the ideals of Islamic personal law per se, as defined in the Constitution. Now, how does an area court, what business has an area court with somebody who is accused in court of committing an infraction under the Cybercrime Act of 2015, which clearly first authority in the Federal High Court, or the issue of sortship, recognizance? The court has clearly held, and this is settled law, the area court has no business. As a matter of fact, the police has no business arresting anybody who breaches his bail bond. What the police or any of those agencies can do is to invite such a person to forfeit the sum he has undertaken to forfeit in his bond upon failure of the principal to avail himself, upon the failure of the shorty to produce the principal for whom he has no shorty. But none of this happened because, of course, there was a clear script. Get either Sowore or you get Marshal, and then you see how you can hold them for the weekend, which was obviously so. But of course, these are infractions. We've been emboldened in our resolve to fight all of these infractions. We've been emboldened in our resolve to fight all of this injustice that these knee jackasses and their cronies in government and in quote, the big men in Nigeria feel they can always use the instrument of state and use the police, especially the police, which is now a ready tool in the hands of these persons. Recently I saw a picture of the entire FCT police command, from their CP to the rest of them, going to the home of the same so-called Nwoko for a group photograph. Even in court on that day, I have videos and pictures of persons who are very close to Nwoko coming to court to share money for court officials. So it has gotten to that low that those persons just felt because they are close to these security agencies who were being employed and paid with taxpayers' money to protect Nigerians. But these same persons are now being used by agents of states and their friends to oppress the same Nigerians they were paid to defend in the first place. So these are some of the problems that we've identified, and these are problems we're going to tackle. For instance, now the area court judge has no power whatsoever to remand the person who is being accused of failing to meet up or to produce a person he's too shorty for, and the area court clearly has no jurisdiction. We're going to challenge that. The police in Abuja also have no right whatsoever to arraign anybody for failing to produce a person he's standing shorty for. We've also discovered, I'm also happy that I had the opportunity to go to some of those places that I went to. The notorious, like the MBA rightly noted, that Kabusa area court has become notorious for perpetuating all forms of illegalities. I had the privilege of interviewing so many persons in both Kefi and Lafayette prisons, and I can tell you a lot of them, about 40% of persons in some of those prisons are from the notorious Papi and Kabusa area courts. That's those judges of those area court judges just sit down there and perform all acts of illegalities I can tell you, with any fear of doubt. A lot of persons are being kept and being remanded. The court just assumed jurisdiction over matters they had no jurisdiction whatsoever on. So these are some of the things we have picked up too. These are some of the fights we also picked up, and we're going to ensure that these persons get redressed, they get justice, and we stop these judicial officers from acting recklessly like in the manner they are want to. So our resolve is steady, is steadfast. Our commitment to this fight we've embarked on from day one, the entrenchment of democracy, upholding of rule of law, and the fight for equality and justice is absolute. It is unshaken. We can never be deterred in this fight. And I can assure you, as far as we have breath in us, we're going to keep up this fight until Luta continua and Victoria is a certain by God's grace.